So the technology is used across a variety of main use cases, sort of modernization, improvement to business as usual, sort of application lifecycle management processes, portfolio management at a management level, and bringing in agile or streamlined development. And I say agile or streamlined because pure agile is somewhat difficult to a lot of organizations in the mainframe space, but we just help them, on the journey. Modernization can, of course, mean many things. It can mean replatforming. It can mean significant new functionality. It can mean optimization. And all of those are really predicated on being able to understand the applications at a high level, and then being able to do the deep understanding of how actually you'd achieve the particular goals of the re-engineering side. Business as usual improvement is around a number of things aimed towards reducing the fixed costs of support and sort of moving that across to innovation, being able to do an understanding of certain specific areas like maybe quality and coding standards, for example, in order to make operational improvements and again cost decreases through reducing unnecessary complexity and so on. So it will be interesting to understand how this is in relation to your business unit within Mariner, but maybe we'll come to that at the sort of the discussion towards the end. We have a very straightforward implementation approach, and this is really mirrored by the abilities of the product to be able to be deployed extremely rapidly. So one of the characteristics is it is deployed in a lot of project-based situations. And it's also employed in a lot of business as usual, where it's sort of welded into the infrastructure that the development and support and delivery teams use as part of their sort of day-to-day jobs. But the process is a very fast installation and appraisal, where we do typically sort of baselining. We build the analysis views that are related to either the applications or the projects that are relevant for the organization. And then we go through an improvement and manage continuous cycle. So the improvement could be modernization, adding extra functionality, doing integration work, etc., as we discussed on the last slide, and then being able to visualize and expose some of the key metrics. So whatever the work is in process and some of the key portfolio characteristics are then sort of visualized in the appropriate way and correlated, such that sometimes for the first time management actually have the ability to understand what's going on and monitor that over time. So some of the key areas in the product that support some of the main different areas, although there's obviously some overlap. EZSource report in the appraisal side is used for the sort of baseline measurement of different things, and I'll come on to the different type of things that are possible in a minute. The improvement side generally relies on a deep understanding and a deep dive into the code and relationships, and EZSource Analyze is the visual component looking at application structure and interdependencies. And then at a management level, EZSource Dashboard is the management tool that is used across delivery to sort of CIO type level, that sort of brings together information and trends over time. And all of this, the product is completely integrated. We operate across a common repository database, which is SQL Server, and we're also moving towards an Eclipse standard client, although the demonstration we're in the final stages of release of EZSource Analyze, being coordinated, consolidated rather, within Eclipse. So you may see some Windows and some Eclipse aspects during the demonstration. So a little bit of deeper information into all of these. EZSource Analyze provides information and not only draws you the big picture of the application and things like module interdependencies, it can also provide a deep dive down into program structure and sort of statement and paragraph flow logic, for example. But given the size of the applications, often hundreds of millions of lines of code in a single application suite, for example, we provide very, very strong capabilities to identify specific starting points or filter out things that are necessary. So it's definitely, there are areas here you can go, for example, between one point and another that are really invaluable in things like business rule understanding, for example, as well. Now, in addition to mainframe, as I mentioned quickly at the beginning, we also operate on cross-platform capabilities as well. So EZSource Analyze actually provides the capabilities not only within the mainframe to visualize the applications, but also provide the same visual information as to how processes are supported across technology platforms. So a very typical use case will be, there will be a mainframe, somewhere in the shop, but they will be connected to Java or SAP, and in conjunction with our support for things like MQ, we can actually understand how that is all stitched together. EZSource Report provides a number of sort of out-of-the-box industry standard capabilities, are things like Halstead, McCabe, etc., heuristic complexity, but also a number of sort of configurable reports looking at particular task-specific use cases. And we've also had the first version launched of things like COBOL coding and quality standards, for example, as well as a whole bunch of other reports that are used during particular use cases of maybe identifying and stripping out dead code from an application. The reporting side, because we are founded on SQL Server, but it's implemented in an open, transparent way, is if there isn't a report out of the box, you can also use Excel or other reporting tools to be able to get at the information in the repository, which is much richer, I guess, for the types of information we hold there than we visualize. So it's very straightforward. And for migration, looking at things like specifics like literals or instances of particular coding types, that's obviously a very efficient way of sort of getting at that information. And on top of report, dashboard provides the consolidated view. So it allows you to consolidate metrics up from applications into groups, does things like trending over time, comparison of different metrics that we're able to do, and there's a full, very straightforward sort of administration part of the dashboard that we probably won't have time to see, but really makes it much faster than you might be expecting to sort of implement. The additional capability of dashboard, though, is it allows you to bring in third-party related data from other IT management platforms and correlate that with the information that we have in report. So that could be things like performance data, cost data, service desk data for trouble tickets, etc., etc. So those are all the three main user-facing components that we'll have a look at during the demonstration. But I'm going to mention one other component because it's really useful from an administration perspective, and one of the many areas that sort of sets this technology apart. We have a component called Enterprise Server, which is responsible largely, there are different mechanisms, but largely for the inbound and outbound integration with EZSource with other complementary products. And one of the main ones to pick on is maybe enterprise source code management platforms like Endeavor, Pambale, Serena, Changeman, etc. If you think of deploying this technology, if you're in project mode, then it's probably okay for at least a number of situations where the analysis doesn't need to be refreshed to be able to just do a sort of single snapshot. In most cases, though, where we're bedded into the toolkit of people that use, your analysis environment and measurement environment obviously needs to be kept current and synchronized. And it's this component that does not only the automation of the initial build and loading of the components, but then does the delta on the defined basis to be able to keep what you have under our analysis environment synchronized with the code line effectively. Our coverage is not 100%, I guess, on sort of every single languages, but we certainly cover the main ones in detail. So Things like COBOL in different dialects, natural PL1 adds, assembler are obviously the sort of the core in a mainframe world. There will also be, we're just about to launch C, which is both for mainframe and distributed, and we have some capability for Sapiens and also actually for Smart. There are some very large situations in Canada, for example, with people like Sun Life that use the CSC COBOL Smart and iSeries based platform that we support very thoroughly. We obviously understand database structure, which is inferred and analyzed automatically from the code. And as well as online, we also have really good support for the batch side of the house. So we'll take JCL and other components and also supported schedulers. So CA7 is now GA, for example. Tivoli workload scheduler from IBM, Control M, and A-Auto are the ones that we have initially. MQ we support from a middleware perspective, and we'll be adding other ones during, into the future for different middleware and ESB type platforms. As I said, we cover other distributed languages. So within the SAP world, their applications are founded either on ABAP or NetWeaver, and we have support both of those in good depth. And on the distributed world, Java support is pretty rich. These are obviously newer environments for us, and .NET C# is at a very high level at this point, but will be sort of built out towards the end of the year and next year, along with Java more